Hello everyone. In today's class we're going to look at the third limb of yoga out of Patanjali's 8 limbs of yoga. This is known as asana. So the word asana means to take a comfortable seat. So really traditionally in yoga the practice of asana was to enable you to find a seated position to prepare you for pranayama and then going into meditation. So if we were going to go into these practices, which we will do when we look at the next few stages of the limbs of yoga, we want to be able to sit comfortably. So this is what traditionally it means, to be able to find a seat, find comfort in your body, to sit then for the more still practices of meditation and pranayama. But it's come to mean the postures generally in the West, and there's lots of different postures we can use to find comfort and to find steadiness and to help us to prepare for that seated position. But also, you know, if we don't get much movement in the day, then we want to use our asana to bring about as much movement as we can. So our body needs movement, and our asana practice hopefully helps us to bring that, but also it might also help us to release tensions that we hold in the body so we can find comfort. And it not only implies comfort in the body, but also comfort in the breath. So in the Yoga Sutras, chapter 2, verse 46, it says, Sthira Sukham Asanam. Asana must have the dual qualities of alertness and relaxation. So this is really all it says. We need to find steadiness or comfort or relaxation. We need to find steadiness and balance and stability, and also comfort and relaxation in our pose. And in chapter 2 verse 47 it says, then these qualities can be achieved by recognizing and observing the reactions of the body and the breath to the various postures that comprise asana practice. And then once known, these reactions can be controlled step by step. So very simply, finding comfort, finding stability in whatever we're doing in the body and in the breath. So let's start with lying down, and we want some comfort. So you want to find your most comfortable position, and you might find bending the knees is a useful, helpful position for you, or even placing a block under the head. The neck feels a bit like the head's tipping back and the neck's a bit compressed. So just finding your most comfortable position you can. And we really want to bring our attention to our body here in the asana practice. And we do that just by noticing what we're feeling. And once we notice what we can feel, we can respond correctly to that. But sometimes we don't always notice everything in the body. There's certain areas where we can't sense much. There's certain areas where we do sense a lot. So let's just notice what we're feeling at this moment. You can just close your eyes and just begin to allow your body to settle. You might like to just take a nice deep breath in. And as you exhale, just allowing your whole body weight to release. So we're looking at finding comfort, finding stability in the body and in the breath. So just notice what you can feel here in your body at this moment. You can just sense where your body is touching the floor. Noticing the various points of contact, like the back of the head, the shoulders and arms, the upper back, back of the pelvis, parts of your legs. As we notice this contact with the body and the floor, we can just begin to allow the body weight to release. So we're letting go of effort here. So here we really want full relaxation, but we want the mind to be alert. So finding that balance between relaxation and alertness. So the mind stays alert, just searching and noticing what are the current sensations we are feeling. And these sensations will vary. There might be pain, there might be itches, there might be twitches, there might be tingling areas, there might be soft areas, warm areas, cooler areas. Notice all these sensations. And also noticing your breath. How does your breath feel in this moment? So does the breath feel steady? Does the breath feel relaxed? Or maybe the breath feels a little bit stuck or jerky or shaky. Just recognize that. Okay, so our practice today is going through a kind of basic routine of asana, varied routine of asana to get movement through all the joints. And ideally our asana practice will bring this, but also to connect our movement with the breath and just to notice the breath. So sometimes if we feel that we get lost with the breath and the movement, you just want to breathe. So just make sure you're breathing and finding comfort there in the body and the breath. And we also going to look at how the asana practice can help prepare us for pranayama, so the breathing practices. So let's just start with some nice movements, simple movements to follow the breath. So we can just start by inhaling and raising the arms overhead towards the floor behind us. And if you haven't got the knees bent, you might want to bend the knees here. And then exhaling, just bringing the arms down by the side. So you're going in your own time, just moving the arms as you inhale, taking the arms overhead. Notice where you feel the movement. Exhale, bring the arms down by the side. And so as you explore this connection between the body and the breath, you're noticing how well your movement can follow your natural breath. And you're also noticing how the movement affects the breath. So the movement that you do, so these arms overhead, you notice, well, how does that affect my breath? Where do I feel the breath in the body? Okay, and then we can bring the arms back down. All right, so let's just take hold of the knees and we'll bring one hand to each knee and going into what's called Apanasana. So we'll hold the knees and see how the breath feels now as you inhale, knees move away from you, and exhale, knees drawing towards you. It's a nice simple rocking of the pelvis here, but today we're using the arms to get that movement and see if we can connect with the breath there. Go in your own time. You might find that the breath slows down a little bit and the breath feels different. We feel a little bit different here with this movement. Okay, let's do one more. All right, so if we bring the left foot to the floor, let's get some movement into the right hip, and you're just taking the knee around in a circle. You might find that straightening out the left leg is easier, and just notice what your breath wants to do with this one. There's no right or wrong. You might inhale as the knee moves away from you, exhale as the knee draws in towards you. I'm really feeling that nice, lovely hip movement, but also if you're able to take the knee quite far away from you, the knee will straighten, so you can get that knee movement. Remember to be aware of staying comfortable though, so reduce the size of the movement if you need to. Let's take the knee in the other direction. So really getting a lovely circumduction here at the hip. Okay, and then let's hold the knee so we get some movement into the ankles. You can just circle the foot. And you know, if you could link this movement with the breath, inhale to lift the foot, exhale to lower the foot. And of course that's going to slow it right down, which is maybe what we need at this moment. And then when you slow it down like that, you can even notice a little bit more how well you're actually moving the foot. Like, is that a nice clear circle, or is it a bit jerky, the movement? Let's go the other way. So sometimes we're trying to make a circle, but it feels more like a, you know, like a jagged circle, or even like a square. So it's like, how smooth is that circle? And again, slowing it down might help you to really sense that a little bit more. Because we're trying to refine our awareness. Asana is really the preparation for the other practices. Let's flex and extend the toes now. So flex and extend, toes point up, toes point down. So notice you could even inhale as you extend the toes, exhale as you flex the toes. So all this drawing the attention to what we can feel in the body can really act as like the first stage in bringing the mind present. Okay, so if we bring that foot to the floor, let's see if we can push the foot straight into the floor to allow the right hip to lift. The pelvis will roll to the left, and then let it release. Push the foot. So you want to feel that your buttock muscle, the right buttock, is contracting here. Sometimes there's not a good connection there between brain and this muscle. So you can just really feel, can I, maybe even use your fingers, can I feel as I push my foot, can I feel that right buttock muscle, the glute maximus, can I feel it contracting? So you could even try squeezing the glute, and that'll lift the hip a little bit, and notice how the weight goes into the foot, and the pelvis is rolling to the left, and the left side of the pelvis quite relaxed. Okay, so nice movement, just a few more. Feel how your pelvis is turning. Notice what's going on in the spine there. Notice also your breath. So maybe you're breathing, you're linking the breath with that somehow. I hope you're breathing. So you might find that it's not following the breath. It doesn't matter, you can just see. So, okay, let's relax that leg. Straighten it out if you can. See what the difference feels like between the two legs. So we might feel a difference. So here I notice it feels like my right hip is lower than my left, and the right leg is a bit more relaxed on the floor. So let's try all that with the other leg. So you can bend the left knee. So lifting the foot, we're going to circle the knee around. So we're getting this nice circumduction. Notice what your breath wants to do here. So think of just exploring the breath. You know, don't worry too much about, you know, it being right, but just notice, what does it naturally feel like with your breathing? If you slow the movement down, what do you feel like you need to do with your breath? Okay, and then go the other way. And of course, we're trying to breathe through the nose. Didn't mention that, but that's generally what we do in our yoga practice, unless there's a specific reason for blowing out through the mouth or something. Okay, holding the knee, let's get the movement into the ankle. So circling the foot around in a nice big circle there. And again, you can slow it down, maybe see what if your breath wants to link with that. Inhale to lift the toes, exhale to lower. How smooth is that circle? Let's go the other way. And then let's flex and extend the toes. Inhale as you extend, exhale as you flex. So the foot stays still, the toes move. Okay, and then let's bring that foot to the floor. And so the left knee bent, and now we're going to push the left foot into the floor. Let the left hip lift, and then release, and then lift, and release. And try that just a few times. And again, you can use your fingers if you like to feel the left buttock contracting and releasing. And your pelvis is just, think of it as your pelvis just rolling to the right here. So pelvis rolling to the right. Great. All right, and then relax out the legs for a moment. See how that feels in the two legs now. And notice, you're just noticing now, what can I feel? Do the legs feel a bit more evened out? Okay, great. So we're going to just roll over onto the left side of the body. So if you bring yourself upright, and you're going to roll over to your left, and just taking, you might take a pillow or I'll find my blanket. So a roll blanket, folded blanket could be useful. And just going to work with a little bit of contraction and release through the side of the waist and the side of the chest. And if we can bring the knees up a little bit level with the hips, and then your hand, so your lower arm is going to be out in front of your chest like this, and the knees coming up level with the hips. So let's just explore this. It's called the side bend. This, so we're trying to make sure that we've got the hips at roughly 90 degrees, knees at 90 degrees, and with the top hand you can just feel the side of the waist, so just above the pelvic rim. And you can just take a breath in, and as you exhale, can you just lift the feet up, straight up toward the ceiling, so not back towards the bum. And notice how the side of the waist contracts, and then inhale to release, and then exhale to lift. Feel that contraction. Inhale to release, and exhale to lift. So it should feel like the hip is moving up towards the armpit. Try and notice whether the pelvis rolls forward. So we're trying to avoid the pelvis rolling forward, keeping that the side of the hip on the floor, so the top side of the hip points up toward the ceiling, but then as we lift the feet, that hip draws toward the armpit. Okay, you can just relax the top arm for a moment. With the bottom hand, we're going to just bring our attention to the ribs. We're going to just try and feel the kind of lowest side rib there, and the space between the lowest two ribs that you can feel. So just bringing some attention there, and so we start with the lowest intercostal space, so the space between the ribs, fingers there. Take a breath in, feel how the rib cage expands, and then as you exhale, you're just going to see if you can lift the feet, but also lift the head with it a little bit. The head doesn't need to lift that high. And then inhale, release. Now if you like, you can use your top hand to support the head. So you take the hand over the head, take a breath in. As you exhale, lift the feet, lift the head. So see if you can feel that space, and then let it release. Now move the fingers up a rib. Take a breath in. As you exhale, keep looking out to the side, lift the feet, lift the head, and as you inhale, come back down. Shift the fingers up a rib, so find the space, the next intercostal space. When you're ready, inhale, exhale, lift, Inhale, release, move the fingers up a space. Exhale, lift. And inhale, release. And maybe you can find one more space there. Maybe it starts to get a bit harder to feel it as you go up closer to the armpit. So you take a breath in. And then exhale, lift. All right, so let's roll onto the backs. Just take a moment to see how that feels. So we're bringing the attention to the ribs. And we're noticing, especially because we're focusing on the breath, noticing, well, how does that feel? How does my right side feel compared to my left side? Not just in the chest, but the side of the waist, the leg. You can bring the two arms down. Yeah, so we might feel a bit of a difference. Let's try that on the other side. So you can just roll over. I'm just spinning around so I can face forward. And again, we've got the knees up level with the hips. And the top hand to begin with, just to feel the waist muscles contracting. So we've got the right angles at the knees and the hips. Taking a breath in. And as you exhale, just going to lift the feet. See if you can feel that. Inhale, release. Yeah, exhale, lift. You see if you can feel that. It's like the armpit moves up. The hip moves up toward the armpit, armpit towards hip. Okay. Now we're going to take the hand, so that's the lower hand now, to the kind of lowest space you can feel around the side of the ribs. Top hand over the head if you can, so you're reaching toward the underneath ear. And take a breath in. And as you exhale, lift the head, lift the feet. Try and feel that movement's coming from the side of the body. Inhale to release. Take the fingers up a space. Exhale, lift. And then inhale to release. You can always take an extra breath in between if you like. So there's no rush with it. As you exhale, lift and feel that contraction. Feel that release. Go up a little bit more. Keep going until you can't really find a space between the ribs. So it'll be somewhere getting up to somewhere near your armpit. All right, great. So come on to the back again. Let's see how that feels. And could be that now that we're feeling a bit more even through both sides of the chest, both sides of the waist. So then also, can you feel any movement in your abdomen as you breathe? So let's do a little pandiculation for those muscles as well. So if you take the hands and we'll interlock the fingers behind the head, we're going into our what's called the arching curl. So you're just going to gently arch the back as you inhale. And then as you exhale, let the lower back flatten to the floor, lift the head, use the abdominal muscles to let the head float up, pointing the elbows forward, and then releasing, inhaling, coming down. You can go into the arch if you've got enough breath there, otherwise take a resting breath, and then exhaling, lifting and pointing the elbows forward. Okay, so you can just repeat a few times. Really try and feel how your abdominal muscles are contracting, and as they contract, they flex the trunk. So it's not your arms pulling your head up, it's your abdominal muscles that are lifting and allowing the head to float up, and the elbows pointing forward. The more we contract the abdominals, the more we'll feel that we lift a bit higher. Let's try one more. Okay, and then take a little pause. Maybe there's a different sensation. Notice your breath. See how that feels. Can you feel the breath a little bit better? Or maybe. So let's take the arms wide. We'll do our rotation now. So you're going to take a breath in, and as you exhale, knees lower to the right, head to the left. When it's time to inhale, come back to center, and then exhale, knees to the left, head to the right. And inhale back to center. So you can just repeat like this a few times, really focusing on finding that nice, comfortable movement. Nice, comfortable breath. So the breath is not held, but there might be a pause at the end of the exhalation. So it's like there's a pause, you wait for the breath to come in, knees come back to center. So sometimes if we're working too hard in a posture, actually we might even hold the breath. Okay, let's come back to center. So if you notice that, you just try and remind yourself to breathe. But as I was saying, sometimes there's a kind of natural pause at the end of the breath, and then that's different to holding the breath. You're just noticing that natural pause, and usually in that natural pause we'd probably be still. So let's go into our bridge pose. So pushing both feet into the floor now, and we can inhale to lift the hips, and then exhale to lower. You might even like to add in that arm movement that we did in the beginning. Inhale, raising the arms overhead as you lift the hips, and then exhale, lower back down. And let's just repeat a few times. Find comfort. There shouldn't be anything under the head here, so no blocks or anything. And find that nice, lovely rolling movement through the spine. Okay, good. Keep breathing through the nose. All right, let's do last one now. Good. And take a little pause. So let's just see how we feel after that little warm-up practice from the floor. Were we able to maintain comfort and stability in the body and the breath? Okay, let's we'll roll over to one side and we'll push ourselves up. So let's just come to a seated position. So just sit whichever way you can comfortably sit. I'm just going to take my legs out in front, and let's get some finger movements so we can extend and flex the fingers. Right, inhale, exhale. Of course, that's going to slow the movement down, so then you can take it to the wrists. So always feel free to make a different seated position. You might even might have the legs crossed. You can turn the hands the other way and do the flexion and extension of the wrists. Okay, and then let's circle. So circling the hands and reverse it. Maybe slow it down even. Great. Wriggle the fingers a little bit, that can be nice, just wriggling. Just playing about with them really. And then you can maybe even interlock the fingers and try this, it's like a figure of 8 movement, or a sideline figure of 8, or an infinity side movement. Shake out the wrists. Great, so we're going to come over onto the hands and knees, and when you come to the hands and knees, again, find comfort. So let's explore the cat pose. So here we're going to, on the hands and knees, we're going to take a moment here just to feel the breath in the different parts of the body. So we'll be changing the breath around a little bit, and let's explore this. So we're going to flex and extend the spine to begin with. So let's start by taking a breath in and exhaling, drawing the navel in and up, tailbone tucks. So now notice as you inhale, lift the tailbone, lift the chest. Notice where you feel the breath there. And then exhale, flexion. Let's do that about 2 more times. Inhale, feel the breath expand into the front of the rib cage as you inhale into the extension, exhale into the flexion. 1 more time. Okay, now let's see if we can swap the breath around. So come back to the neutral position. Take a breath in. This time as you exhale, can you lift the tailbone, lift the chest, so you're exhaling into the back bend. And now as you inhale, flex the spine, round the back up toward the ceiling. Feel the breath expand in the back of the chest. Exhale, go the other way, extend the spine. Inhale, flex the spine. So the difference here, of course, is felt in the body when we breathe. So as we inhale into the flex spine, so when we round the back up toward the ceiling, inhaling, you really bring awareness to opening out the back of the rib cage and feeling the breath expanding into the back of the lungs there. Last one. Okay, take a pause, take a wrist break, either child's pose or sitting back to the heels, upright. If you can manage that, you could also add a little bit more of a wrist movement. So this time actually we can turn the thumbs down, so arms up, turn thumbs down, so the back of the hands face towards each other. Right hand over left, interlock the fingers. Very gently, slowly draw the hands in towards you, and very, very slowly and gently take the hands out away from you. Now, mind your wrists there, of course, so practice Sthira Sukham Asanam here, so finding that balance between getting movement but staying comfortable. Okay, so 1 more. And your arms might not extend out that fully. That just depends on your wrists. Now, so bring the back of the hands together again. Now left hand over right, interlock, and then same thing. Not sure if I'm going to get as far this time. My left wrist. No, so I'm not going to go all the way. And this, remember, we never want to push it, because, you know, if we're in a class and we see everyone else doing it and we feel like we have to do it, well, you know, then we're not listening to our body. So I've got to listen to my body here, feeling my left wrist is not gonna enjoy going much further than that at this moment. So, you know, so it's just accepting that. So, okay, that's all right, that's how it is for now. All right, so shake out the wrists. Let's come on to all fours again. We'll explore a side bending movement. So when we come to all fours, and you can always make fists if you like, you know, if the wrists give you a problem, make fists. So you can, we're going to take a breath in, and as you exhale, just see if you can draw your left hip up towards armpit. So remember in that side bending movement we were doing when we lay on the side. So really it's the same thing here, but obviously we're in a different position. So you can breathe in. As you exhale, left hip and armpit move towards each other. Notice how the head will kind of tip around to the left as well, and then inhale back to center, and then exhale, right hip and armpit moves towards each other. So it's a lateral flexion or side bending. Inhale to center. So we're trying that side bending movement. So the pelvis wants to stay fairly fixed in the center here. So we try not to shift the pelvis left to right like this. It's more of the swiveling. So if you imagine that you're looking from above at your pelvis, the pelvis is like a steering wheel. The center of the steering wheel is fixed in the same point, and the steering wheel just turns around that central point. So that's what we're trying to get here. Okay, now come back to center. Let's change the breath. So exhale from center. Now inhale as you draw left hip and armpit towards each other. Notice what you feel. Exhale to center. Inhale as right hip and armpit draw towards each other. And exhale to center. And then repeat. Inhale into the side bend. So you feel the opposite side of the waist and chest expanding. Exhale to center. Inhale into the side bend. And then exhale to center. And you can just try that 1 or 2 times. So when you change your breath like this, it has a different effect. You might not go as deep into the side bend as you breathe in into the side bend, but you'll feel more expansion into the side of the ribs. Okay, let's see if you can sit back to the heels, child pose, maybe even taking knees wide if that feels okay. Take the hands forward. And maybe your forehead comes to the floor, so you're taking a few breaths. If not, you can prop yourself on the elbows or find another comfortable position. It might be sideline child's pose. You always want to take time. If we're in a resting position and you're not comfortable, then you should try and find some comfort. So lying on the side maybe. Okay. So let's come back up to all fours. So now we can tuck our toes, so we can try just a little bit of sitting back towards the heels and coming forward. So you can inhale as you come forward, exhale as you sit back towards the heels, inhale to come forward. And then we're going to see if we can go into our downward dog here by sitting back towards the heels as far as we can, using the thighs to lift the knees. So you can exhale into it, take a breath or so, and then when you're ready, just bring the knees back down. Inhale, come forward. Exhale, lift. Make sure the hands are happy with this. Breath. And then exhale, bring the knees down. Inhale, come forward. Let's try that again. If you're able to, go into the upside down position. Now we can try raising out one leg behind us, so we can lift up that right leg nice and high. Take a couple of breaths there, keep breathing through the nose. Swap over the legs if you can. Okay, bring the foot down. Let's walk the hands back towards the feet. And we're going to bring ourselves upright. So you can either uncurl, or if it feels more comfortable for you to come up with a straight back, then you come up with the flat back. And then you'll bend the knees doing that. And then we'll raise the arms up. And then the hands come down the center. All right. Very good. I'm just going to take my socks off. So it's quite good to, if you can, take socks off. So you can really feel your feet. So I'm fitting in the screen here. Let's move back a little bit. Okay, so let's get some shoulder movement, shall we? So we're just a few nice big circles, again connecting with the breath. So just feel that nice circular movement in the arms. You're feeling, again, noticing where you feel the breath. Shoulders, nice shoulder movement here. But feel how the spine moves with that as well. Okay, and then as you bring the arms down, let's try a rotational movement with the arms. So we're gonna, as you inhale, roll both arms outwards and let your chest lift, like you're pushing the feet into the floor, lift the chest. And as you exhale, just let the arms roll in and let the spine flex a little bit. It's kind of like we're doing a standing cat-cow pose. So you can even look down as the arms roll in, so we're connecting the arm movement with the spinal movement with the breath. Arms rolling out, chest lifts, maybe even looking up. Going with your breath. Breathing through the nose. Last one. Great, and then come back to center. Okay, fantastic. So let's do a little bit more for the shoulders. So of course we're looking at, you know, loosening all the joints in all the different ways we can. So you can just bring the arms out, and then you're going to take, let's say you're going to take your right palm up, left thumb down, and then reach the hands towards each other behind the back. And then you might even take a breath there. See how your side of the ribs expands there, and release it. And then you go the other way. You might take a breath and then release and take a breath. It's really feeling that nice movement through the shoulders, and noticing the feeling in the breath on each side of the ribs there, each side of the rib cage, as you take the arms behind you, and then release. Okay, good. So let's try another arm movement that will really focus on bringing the awareness to the three parts of the chest, really. So it's like the lower chest, mid chest, upper chest. So the movement is this. So we're going to take 3 breaths here. So we're going to breathe in and just raise the arms out in front of us. And now pause there as you exhale. Breathe in, take the arms wide. Notice where you feel the breath. Exhale, bring the arms back in front. And then inhale, take the arms up. Notice where you feel the breath, and exhale, bring the arms down. Okay, so it's inhale, notice where you feel the breath is when you just raise the arms up in front, and then exhale. Inhale, arms wide, and then exhaling. Inhale, arms up, and then exhaling. You might find you need to take a breath in between here. So let's try that one more time like that. So we inhale, hands to shoulder height. So you feel it around the lower kind of upper abdomen there. Exhale, inhale, arms wide, so it's more mid-chest. And then exhale, inhale, arms up, so it's more upper chest. Okay, so that's the 3 movements of the arms to connect to the 3 parts where we might feel the breath in the lungs. So if it feels okay, we're going to speed that up a little bit with a 3-part inhalation, and then on the exhale we'll just blow out. So it goes like this. And if you find that it's too stimulating, or certainly if you feel dizzy or lightheaded from doing this, you should really stop, you know, and go back to the slower version. So it's like this. So we inhale, 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 and then exhale, blowing out. So it's in through the nose, and then out through the mouth. So it's quite dynamic. Know when to stop. One more. You might even then from there like to just stay in a bit of a forward bend, maybe go all the way down. And not if you had glaucoma or, you know, you detach retina or something like that. Just a few breaths there. And going upside down, notice how that affects your breathing as well. Constantly clearing the nose if you need to, blowing the nose, uncurl up when you're ready, or if you prefer flat back, and then take the arms up. And then the hands come back down through the center. Let's take a little bit of a soft turn there. All right, so let's try a little bit of a standing pose sequence. So just finding your comfortable position at the front of the mat, and we're going to go. So these all of these postures we've been doing fairly regularly, and some of them we brought into the classes over the last couple of weeks, and others are maybe we haven't brought them in, but we're just going to go along with that. So we're going to go along with as best you can. Note finding comfort, finding steadiness in the breath. I'm going to start by just taking the right weight into the right foot, left heel lifts, just sliding the left foot back. So we're going into this kind of lunging warrior. We're going to take the arms up as we inhale, and then as we exhale, we're just going to sink into this, sinking. And then pausing there, let's take the arms wide and elbows bent. Take a breath in. As you exhale, can you just turn the chest to your right? Maybe even pausing there. Now notice your breath in this position. Last week we did this kind of dynamically. Now can you hold it? Notice your breath. Find comfort, find steadiness in the body and in the breath. From there, bend the elbows. Let's turn the chest forward. Now, can you bring the back heel to the floor, turning the chest to the left and reach the arms out? So we're in this beginning of the warrior two. So from here, we're just going to bend the knee. You might like to just roll the shoulders back away from these, expand out from navel to periphery. Let the head look around a little bit so you check that you're finding comfort in your neck. Find stability through the feet, maybe gazing forward, noticing the breath. Okay, and then from there, let's take the front hand to the knee, and the other arm is just going to sweep in a nice big circle forward and up. So today we're just going to hold each posture if we can. Now maybe you can get the elbow to the knee and reach the arm forward. So we get this lovely length from the outer edge of the back foot all the way through the side of the body. Seeing how that feels. Now, if you can from there, we're going to sweep that top hand forward all the way to the floor. And so that's the left hand. Now you can bring the knee down if you like. And then the right arm is going to reach out and up. So turning the chest to the right. Reaching up, and then if we can, we lift the back knee off the floor. And we might take a few breaths if we're comfortable. We might bring the knee to the floor. You can come out anytime you need. So we're going to see if we can bring the hand back. So if it's possible to step back into a plank pose, you can do that maybe with the knee off the floor or on the floor. You can try a little plank pose there. Notice how the breath is affected in each position. So the breath will probably want to speed up a little bit here because the abdomen's not moving. The breath is going to be a little bit more shallow. Okay, let's bring the knees down. I'm going to take the hands wider and just lower ourselves to the front of the body. And then head comes down. And we'll just go for a little bit of a gentle cobra lift. So if we take the hands a bit wider, elbows just lifting away from the floor, and really here we're trying to use firstly the chest muscles to lift and then release. You might like to just kind of explore this and don't try lifting too high for the moment. Inhale, lift, exhale, release. Inhale, maybe the hands compress into the floor a little bit. Exhale, release. And then maybe lifting a little bit higher. And when you feel you've got to a nice comfortable position, you might even be able to hold it there for a moment. And you just sense, am I comfortable here? If I wasn't comfortable, you might explore just Sphinx pose. And just feeling the breath in the body, noticing where you feel the breath. Okay, let's bring ourselves down. We'll bring the hands under the shoulders. Going to just push ourselves up onto the knees, and then let's go back to a child pose if we can. So this time try it with the knees together, child's pose. And please, if you can't manage this, you might just roll onto the side and hug the knees in toward the chest. And just take a few breaths. Feel the breath in the back of the body here. So now we can just explore where we feel that breath. Okay, and then we can bring ourselves up. So we'll try going into our downward facing dog. So lifting up onto the hands and knees, taking a breath in. And then when you're ready, as you exhale, sitting towards the heels, lifting up. We're in our downward facing dog. You can take a few breaths if you like. Let the head just hang down. Okay, and then we're going to walk the hands back towards the feet and we'll uncurl up. And you can bring the arms all the way up. And then hands come down the center. So now that we're at the back of the mat, we're going to see if we can step forward to the front of the mat. So see if you can now take your left foot forward. So we're in that lunge and the back heel lifts, and we're going to take the arms up and we're going to sink. We're going to take the elbows wide and see if we can turn to the left and reaching the arms up. So we've got left foot forward, turning to the left. See if you can hold it here for a breath or two, find that stability, find that comfort. So again, there's alertness, isn't there? There's alertness here. We've got to be quite alert, but can you remain relaxed as well? Okay, and then you can turn the chest the other way, back heel comes to the floor, shoulders might roll back a little bit, so in warrior two. Hip, knee, ankle aligned. We're going to just bend the front knee. You might just take a look around left and right just to find that comfort around the neck and the shoulders, nice and broad across the chest. Observing your breath, finding stability through the feet. And then let's bring that left hand to the knee and the right arm is going to sweep forward and up. And then you're kind of reaching up, nice long line from outer edge of the back foot to fingers, and maybe the elbow to the knee, if that feels okay for you. Try not to over rotate the pelvis around to the right. So you always want to make sure that the sacroiliac joints are comfortable here. So if it feels pinching in the left sacroiliac joint there, you want to bring your right hip forward a little bit. Maybe don't worry too much about the arm ahead. You could even bring the arm behind the back. So we have to adapt to find this comfort. We take the hand to the floor, there's the right hand, your back knee could come to the floor if you need to adjust a little bit, and then left arm reaching out and up, pressing into that, the hand on the floor, lifting the back knee if possible. Find that comfort. And what's supporting you here? Do we feel stable? So we've got 2 feet, so one whole foot and the toes at the back, and then the right hand. Is that all comfortable, our support? Okay, so you can step back either into plank pose, or if you prefer, maybe just straight into child's pose. Now, if plank pose on the wrists isn't a good idea for you, you might go to forearm plank. Shoulder blades nice and broad. Good for core engagement, deep spinal muscle engagement, and shoulder stability. Okay, we can take a little pause, sit back towards the heels, child's pose again. All right, and then last time into our downward facing dog. So onto the knees, take a breath in, exhaling, lifting up, and going into our downward facing dog. Let's walk the hands back towards the feet, and we can bring ourselves upright. And then hands come down the center. Okay, so we'll have a little soft turn there, and you want to just see how you feel. So we're always noticing asana practice, finding that balance, sthira sukham asanam, finding the qualities of steadiness, comfort, effort, ease, alertness, relaxation. So let's try one balance. So it's called the vrikshasana, the tree pose, and you can try this either by crossing so you bring weight into the right foot, crossing the left shin over the right and just lifting the toes, or some of you might prefer to bring the foot up against the thigh. So it's up to you. You can, if you're doing that, you press foot and thigh together, you push the foot into the floor, and you find this lift through the center. So wherever we are now, finding that comfort in the body, in the breath. And then you might even raise the arms up if you like. Notice, can you find steadiness in your breath here? Find something to stare at. Great. When you're ready, hands come down through the center. We bring the foot back. We come back to mountain pose. And then we try that on the other side. So weight to the left foot. So again, the options, and do use the options. Remember, we're all different. So we might just cross the shin, or you might prefer to bring the foot up against the thigh. So if we are bringing the leg up, trying to get the foot quite high, either above or below the knee, not actually pressing onto the knee. So let's see, do we feel any different on this side? Notice your breath. Find that steadiness. Raise the arms up if you like. Find that stability, comfort. Keep the gaze soft, keep the face and jaw relaxed. Hands come down, foot comes back. We're back to mountain pose. And then let's take a little soft turn there. Great, so nice little practice there. So let's come down, maybe last time, into the child's pose. And again, if you can't manage child's pose, then just lying on the side can be a nice way to just sort of as an alternative. So there's that option, or you could even just sit upright and just hold the knees, so you're just breathing in around either the front or the back of the knees. So you're just feeling the breath expanding into the back of the ribs. Okay, so we're just going to see if we can go into like a little forward bend, so seated position, and more for just exploring hip range of movement. Sometimes having a yoga block or your folded blanket and sitting on it might be useful for some of you. So we're going to do the one of these poses where we've got one leg straight and the one knee bent. So let's keep the right leg straight and see if you can bring the heel in somewhere towards the perineum. So this is called Janushirshasana. So it actually translates as head to knee pose, but that's not our aim. That's just what they call it. Some people get the head to the knee. So you can try and bring so you might find, okay, I need to just test, see how this feels. So You just see how that feels. You can even lift the knee and lower the knee. And then you might gradually be able to take the foot a little bit higher up in towards the center. So if you're finding, well, this is a bit tricky for me, you could even try sitting on a block and see if that makes it any easier. And if the knee doesn't go to the floor, you could even take a block or the folded cushion under, or folded blanket under the knee that's off the floor. So otherwise, just from here, you're trying to sit as tall as you can and literally just getting a little minute kind of rocking movement forwards and backwards, just seeing how far you go. Now, if you find that all that happens is your spine just flexes and there's no pelvic movement going forward, then you probably want to just bend your right knee there a little bit, and that will help you just to tip forward a little bit. And you just kind of slide the hands forward and back. So bending the right knee. Things like using a prop, using the blanket under the knee might even be helpful for some of you. Very gently, just allowing your nervous system to get used to this. So not putting too much pull on the muscles, because the nervous system will just kick in, the stretch reflex will kick in. So and then your muscles actually tighten up a bit. You might even find that the leg straightens a little bit. Okay, and then let's take the leg out. We'll try that on the other side. So bringing the other foot up. So you can just explore kind of raising the knee, lowering the knee, feeling that hip rotation. So really preparing for seated positions, but we're not going to do much of a seat position today, but this is kind of leading in towards next week's class, which we will be focusing a little bit more on sitting for our pranayama. And then maybe the foot can wriggle forward, or another way to do that is lift the hips and shift your whole body forward. So you could, it's like this, you sort of lift and shift. Make sure this knee's comfortable. Yeah, so you find that comfortable position. Use, again, it could be something under your knee here. You could have the other knee bent. Make sure the toes are comfortable. This knee wants to always stay comfortable. You're kind of exploring hip rotation as you lean forward. You just tip forward and back. And feel that you're just doing quite a small movement. There's no, we're not forcing it. You might find you go a little bit further each time. But again, we're just easing ourselves in and out of this position. Only going to where your body allows you to go. Alright, is that enough? So we're trying to notice when we've had enough. So when you've had enough of something, you just stop. So anyway, we'll kind of stop there. You can just straighten out the legs and shake the legs. Maybe then the last one, just finishing with the legs wide. Again, maybe sitting on a block and just gently tipping forward and back, and feel that the movement's coming from the pelvis and the spine just follows. So eventually when the pelvis tips quite far forward, then the spine will begin to flex out. But we're trying to, if the pelvis doesn't move, then what might happen is we just start over rounding, over flexing in the lower back. We don't want that. That's not going to be very nice for the spine. Going to start, that you'll find maybe there's compression on the spinal disc, which we don't want. So again, use something to sit on. Keep the back fairly straight just as you go in and out. And you might gradually find, so again, we're not forcing a stretch, we're just kind of getting to the edge and then easing out. You might find you just go a little bit further forward without force. Okay, so let's, as a counter pose, let's just come into Asana, the crocodile pose, and you're just taking, or you could be, should we try maybe Sphinx pose? You could do Sphinx pose, or crocodile pose is just heels and hands together. But if that feels like it kind of compresses the neck a little bit for some people, it shouldn't, but you know, sometimes it does. Sphinx pose could be a good option. So your forearms on the floor, breathing, noticing the breath. So here, of course, we're because the belly's pressing into the floor. You might feel the lower back rising and falling if we're breathing diaphragmatically. Okay, and then again, last time back into child's pose, or maybe just hugging the knees in as you lie on your back. That could work as well. So let's finish on the back. So a good asana practice should ideally finish with relaxation. So we'll have a few minutes now to just relax down. So find your comfortable position. You can lie on your back, you can bend the knees, and ideally throughout the asana practice, there's, you know, if we're just looking at asana, finding that balance between steadiness and comfort, noticing the sensations in the body, and that helps guide us into what we do and what we don't do, knowing where we can challenge ourselves, but also being aware of our limitations. So there we find that balance, Sthira Sukham Asana. And also we might start with being very gentle, and then warming up, and then doing a few challenging things and a balance, and then kind of cooling it down, and then coming back down into relaxation. So that's generally how a class would work. So let's take that moment now to just relax. You're lying on your back, take a nice deep breath in. And as you exhale, completely let go, completely surrender. And notice this, just notice what you feel in your body, what has changed. Sensing where your body touches the floor. Allowing the body weight to just completely release down. Completely surrender. Noticing the breath. Notice if the breath feels any different. Are we clearer in the nostrils? Do the lungs feel more aerated? Is the breath a little bit smoother? Just pay attention to the breath, allowing the breath to be natural. Following each exhalation with your mind. Noticing when the breath turns round to become the inhalation. And following each inhalation with your mind. And again, noticing when the breath turns round to become the exhalation. as our thoughts gradually begin to subside through practice, you might find the breath just quite naturally slows down a little bit. We might find at the end of the breath, at the end of the exhale, there's a pause before the breath then comes back in. And maybe even at the top of the in-breath there's a little pause before the breath is released out. But this is completely effortless. So we're going to just gently bring ourselves back upright. Go slowly, go gradually. Some of you may like to just stay there, lying there. The class will be finishing now, but maybe you need a few more minutes to lie in Shavasana. Shavasana is actually means the corpse pose, the ability to just really let go and be still, mentally and physically, and even the breath slows a little bit. So this was our class on Asana. We'll finish with the hands joining at the heart center. Namaste.